Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. This guy is so persuasive. In case you're not sure who this is, or maybe you just don't recognize him because we're not currently looking inside of his throat on this channel, this is Will Ramos, and he has persuaded me to listen to Fleshgod Apocalypse.
Fleshgod is one of my favorite bands I've been listening to for a very long time, and I think they are the perfect blend of classical music, your world, and metal music, which is my world. So hopefully you will find the same, analysis from it. We'll find out.
Let's get to it.
This is the harpsichord?
It's a harpsichord.
Love that.
And that's a full orchestra and a lot of drums.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things going on. I love it. It sounds like it is from like 200 years ago, and then they just brought in like a drum kit and a guitarist. They're just like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, no, it's like it feels like we took some sort of opera, maybe something from Carmen, and we were like, hey, let's add a bunch of drums, a ton, and some powered instruments as well.
Of course.
I'm just like, you're like, we're happening behind it. I'm thinking like, yeah, that would really add to a lot of operatic pieces.
Food for thought, all you opera people listening out there.
Let's go back to the beginning because the harpsichord is so cool.
Oh, it's great.
Harpsichords are so cool because they go like that. And pianos, you got this hammer on it that is striking the string, but it has a lot more control of it. And that's why
that's what the harpsichord does?
The piano strikes.
Right.
Harpsichord goes and it plucks it. So that's why it's a much sharper sound. And pianos are called pianofortes originally because meaning soft, loud, and that you could get a bigger, wide variety of dynamics from it. Anyhow.
Wow.
I think it's so cool.
That's crazy. I wouldn't even know that. I was like, why does a harpsichord sound like this? It just looks like a piano, but it's different. It ain't the same. The more you know about classical music, for all you people out there who didn't know, like me.
Pretty cool. I think it's a
you
very
just
cool
learned.
Sound. Edgy.
Yes. So triumphant sounding.
Very. Okay, we're back. First,
love the false chord screams.
Yeah, I know. It's so Cookie Monster.
It's that Cookie Monster? Okay, I like that. It makes me feel like just like that old school what you imagine like a death metal scream to just sound like.
Maybe. I have like no conception of old school death metal.
Okay.
So Cookie Monster.
We'll go, our Cookie Monster is the old school death metal sound. That's what we're referring to it.
They were so different.
I like that. Well, this is very Cookie Monster. We'll see how crazy he gets with it. We're going to have to pull this one apart.
I really love the way that they have an actual tempo shift.
Oh, yeah, it slows down.
Yeah.
And what instrument is that? Let's hear it. Afterwards.
It's metal? Oh, you're right.
That.
It almost sounds like...
Is it like a trumpet?
I don't know what it is either. It's definitely not being used in the typical way, so I'd call it like extended technique. And
okay,
it could be
that.
It could be a classical instrument. I would put either. I think it's a little brassy, but it did have a slight reedy element to it also. So kind of depends. It's just it's an interesting technique that's being used with it.
Okay, I like that. It sounds nuts. harpsichord again in the background?
Was there? I was just listening to the voice.
Oh no, that's guitar.
There's a guitar, yeah. Except for the way that the guitar is composed, it sounds almost like it was written for a harpsichord.
It does.
Like, that's just, it's like when you think about fingers being able to move very quickly across keys versus finding different positions on different strings, like that sounded more to me like it was written for keys.
So you gotta love the good transition, just like what we were talking about before. You got the jaw, or not even in this video, but the jaw harp and a plucking away of Gojira doing it. Now I feel like I'm hearing a little something like that, where it's like now the guitar is playing what the harpsichord is playing before,
or
totally something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, Gojira.
Same realm.
Awesome.
Gotta love it.
Realm. Okay, cool. Ooh. Oh.
That's my favorite part.
Wow. Look at their eyes.
They look crazy. They literally look like they're from 150 years ago and they just got pulled out of their grave and they're like, all right, here you go. That guy second to the right, though, or from the right?
Yeah, I think it's Interview with the Vampire all over again.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, totally. Whoa. Okay, I want to go back just a little bit because there were a couple things. First of all, I heard some actual piano, I think, that was happening in there in a couple spots.
Oh, I imagine they got a lot of piano stuff going on in here.
But then at one point it sounded like the way that they were producing his vocals, like we started, at one point got a definite split on both sides. And it shifted and I was like, whoa, interesting. And also like I got a new tone quality. I think it was just because of the split.
Okay, I could see that. For me, I feel like so when I listen to Fleshgod, like for the most part, like his vocals are like one thing. Like he's not very dynamic where he's jumping around all over the place. But one thing that I really like to see that these guys do is like vocal rhythm or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Like the way that because you hear everything that's going on in the background is very chaotic, but it flows. But it's just like a lot of instrumentation stuff going on. And usually vocals will follow one instrument or another one, or they'll just do their own thing. But like, I feel like the way that he's delivering the lyrics, like my brain would not go to that when I'm putting lyrics down on a song like this. And I just think it's really cool the way that the whole rhythm of it is. You know, that takes a lot to even be able to think of like, okay, this vocal is gonna come in here, and then it's gonna go like we're gonna do a couple of fast vocals here, and then a long drawn out one, and then a little fast one here too. I don't know. That's probably the coolest part for me.
I'm gonna listen to that a lot more.
You'll pay attention to it as the song goes on.
Okay. That was where it's split. Piano.
All right, let's hear it. Analysis, break it down.
So I'm listening to it, and the vocal line sounds really in that more operatic classical domain, meaning that the pitches and the overall choice of like how those are stitched together in the phrase, they sound more classical, but his production does not sound classical. So it sounds like it's got just not as much pharyngeal space, essentially. Like when you think about classical singers, you tend to think about having a lot more tone on the sound versus having something that's really far forward, and pretty much every other genre is going to be a lot more forward in the face and the mask. I want to go back a couple
Interesting.
Of things. Yeah.
Never thought about it like that.
Uh-huh. So that has a little bit of depth, almost like he studied some legit musical theater.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like he's just yelling.
Yeah, but then crossed into metal, which would bring it a little more forward, but there's a certain clarity on the back end that doesn't feel just metal.
don't know how you can sing that loud without hurting yourself.
Oh. There are ways.
You're like, I'm an opera singer. This is how we sing all day. This is just every day.
No, it's a really legitimately difficult question, and people have to build up technique for that, because if you're going to be singing really loudly, the thing that affects your volume the most is breath pressure. And when you have tons of breath pressure, you have more collision force usually in the vocal folds. And so you have to learn ways to mediate that include keeping your support really low so that your breath pressure doesn't just go up and slam into your vocal folds really fast. And
that's how I would imagine it to work in my mind. I would just slam those things.
Yeah.
And they would be like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people think, and that's what gets people into vocal trouble, because that's one of the quickest ways to get some vocal nodules, or there are all kinds of stresses or stressful conditions like that will directly translate into a vocal injury.
Oh, I could imagine, because just being loud in general is like, I mean, I don't know how it, obviously it's different for classical music, but for like screaming and all that, usually the more loud vocalists are the ones that have the more vocal damage going on in them, because I don't know, maybe they're just, like you're saying, they're just letting it out. They're just being as loud as they can, getting that technique out, but I don't know. It just blows my mind to hear. That's why when I hear you out here, you're an opera singer, you just go,
That's what I do.
I'm like, oh my God, that was loud.
Amazing.
Opera singers, I feel like you guys don't even have microphones half the time. You're just up there just yelling.
That's like one of the conditions of opera. And if there is a microphone on a stage, it's probably to record the opera. If there's a microphone that's being used for amplification in opera, oh my gosh.
They're cheating.
Some people think they're cheating. It can be it's a touchy spot. Opera, most of the time, should have no microphones used for amplification.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some, what do you want to call it? People that do it anyway, because they're like, you can't be doing this. So I imagine you get the old school people like, you can't do this, otherwise, insert excuse here. I didn't do that. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know anything about opera.
Nah,
I imagine like the elitists. That's how I imagine it in my mind.
Yeah, but the traditionalists or elitists.
Traditionalists.
But but honestly, it's a big thing, and that's also how the entire vocal production is trained. You're thinking about how to get more volume with better efficiency. Yeah. Well, you need to be quiet sometimes too. Okay?
Of course.
But you should have a big dynamic range, and that includes expanding both sides.
I'm curious to see how loud this guy is live.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because he might sound loud here, but he might actually not be that loud. I've heard plenty of people that sound loud on a microphone or even in a room like this, and you put them on the stage and they just get swallowed up, and that often has to actually do with overtones. And some people talk about like a singer's formant, and there's like this whole extra series of things that are really high that get lit up by different resonances, and that's one of the ways that opera singers can project so much.
Oh my God, I need to get back. I need to get more into opera. I want to be up there screaming as loud as I can without a microphone. You're like, I'll teach you right now.
Just scream in a really healthy way.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay,
We'll work
deal.
on it. We're going to get there.
We'll get there. Okay, let's go back a little bit.
Send us back.
We're just zooming out in the picture. Like, well, that's kind of creepy, actually.
This guy's just staring at us.
So the part that I think is most impressive is the extra extension. It sounds like I thought he was going to cap out at the note before the high note. That makes sense.
So what do you mean? Like, go back. Like which word would it be? From this leading place.
So on killing me, which actually a k is a really good consonant to start that top note on.
Wow, I wouldn't even think about something like that. This is how you know you sing for a living. Where you're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a really, really high note, and it can be harder to start that on a vowel. But a k in particular has like a little air pressure buildup that can function as an SOVT exercise, like a straw. Think about the way you sing into the straw and it reflects that pressure back. Do you feel the stop that happens if you go? It can help you.
So is that a hard onset? Damn.
It's actually on. In that case, you're kind of negating if it's hard or soft because you're not starting on a vowel. You're using a consonant. So the consonant actually helps you get that started, and with a little bit of that reverse air pressure, the same way that a lip trill, right? All of those things reflect air pressure. A K also is reflecting air pressure and can help that get started with a little more efficiency.
I'm gonna remember this next time I write something. Next album's coming.
Yeah.
We're going consonants.
We can talk a lot about consonants and which ones are really useful in certain notes. Anyhow.
That's for a future video, not this one though. So for now, you get more Fleshgod.
Okay. Wow. Ooh. Okay.
Gotta love the panning.
I love the panning. Right? It's like you feel like you're
getting pulled all over the place. You're like, where am I supposed to listen to this from?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, but on the opposite ear. That'll do it.
Just a second. Wait.
I'm like,
this is a different setup than usual. Which one is which?
Am I doing this wrong?
Are we on the wrong side?
I'm on the wrong side. I am on the wrong side. It was me all along. It always is.
I probably handed them to you the wrong way.
No. I just put them on. I didn't even read. I don't read the directions. I just go into it, okay? So.
Okay, one more time.
Bring it back. Woo. Woo. Oh, I love that.
Nice.
I love the use of the brass instruments because I just feel like it makes it sound so regal. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, you really
Regal.
associate like a king with a trumpet a lot of times.
That's why I love that.
it's
I
very
love the way
declamatory.
they put it in there.
And if you think about like how brass instruments have been translated then into film scores later, you really think about like a French horn, especially in John Williams.
Oh
right?
yeah, French horn is like if you are a king, you gotta have a French horn.
And so many of like the more stately or iconic melodies that John Williams wrote also is going to come in on a French horn. So like it's so cool to hear that translated directly into visuals. It's been there for years.
No kidding.
Okay. Back a little bit. There we go. Okay, I'm listening to his consonants like crazy since you mentioned the words.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things that I'm noticing most of all is the precision of them. And I tend to think about what would happen if I divide the consonant from the vowel of a word. Where exactly is the timing of the consonant happening? Where exactly is the timing of the vowel happening? And to me, it's with mathematical precision.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's why like my brain could not do that. I mean, I could try, but I would sit there for so long and I'd be like, this does not sound good. Meanwhile, it probably sounds great. My brain just doesn't work like that though. The parts where it goes like I don't know. It lines up so well with the guitar and the drum that just sounds insane.
Huh.
I love that.
That's cool.
Little things.
I'm glad you pointed it out to me.
Love that.
So I know this is what it's called, symphonic deathcore?
Death metal.
Death metal. Symphonic death metal was like the genre, but to me, this feels like symphonic death power metal.
I can see that. I can see the power metal influence in there.
Yeah.
So by the way, for future reference, if anybody who's watched or listening to this right now, usually the difference between deathcore and death metal, for the most part, Deathcore doesn't have a lot of guitar solos, if any. I know they have it in some, and death metal also doesn't have any breakdowns. So you'll notice that. That's how you could differentiate between deathcore and death metal. And that's why people listen to us and they're like, yo, you guys are death metal because you have guitar solos. But we have breakdowns. So we're like death metal core. You know what I mean? So that's why I wouldn't call these guys like deathcore at all, because they have no breakdowns. It's just like nice symphonies and just like something to bob your head to. But it's not like those heavy parts where everyone's just like swinging in the mosh pit, like going karate on each other.
That's awesome.
The more you know.
Yeah, thank you.
That's how you break it apart right there.
And oh my gosh, especially as somebody who did not grow up in this and has been learning about metal subgenres. Oh.
That's what I'm talking about. Death metal is just like a song. Like you don't have. I feel like for a lot of people, why they listen to death metal and not really a lot of deathcore, is because you can listen to deathcore so many times and you keep hearing the same breakdown. You know, that one part where it really slows down on the song, and that hits you until a certain point when you've heard it 18,000 times and you're like, okay, here comes the breakdown. The breakdown isn't as heavy to me anymore because you already know what's coming. Death metal doesn't have any of that. So you got to kind of just take it for what it is. Like you're enjoying the instrumentation of the whole thing. There's no small individual parts. It's like, this is the best part of the whole song. Like the whole song is just exciting, you know? Like probably like Wardruna, maybe. I don't know if you want to call them that. I don't even know if you would consider, they're like folk metal. Well, there's no break. I don't know. It's a death metal aspect.
He's very excited about that.
We're going to get into it.
All right, let's go back.
I love those ambient vocals.
Oh my god. Confession, I did not even pay attention to the choir in the background. I was just listening to that solo. I was like, oh, take me away.
It's insane. The solo is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. They're so good at playing every instrument they have on this freaking thing. But I love the chorus. Gotta love a big choir.
Yeah, gotta love it.
Gotta.
It's a choir.
I don't know what the hell's going on in there, but I know there's instruments that I don't know what the hell they're called, and they're...
Well, there's definitely a piano. And the piano and the guitar were doubling, and that's what I meant by, like, it feels like it was written for a keyboard instead of guitar at that point.
Maybe that's how maybe they do write it on the keyboard first, and they're just like, all right, what can we turn into guitar?
Or maybe their guitarist just had, like, a very particular type of song that he liked to study at some point, and maybe that's part of the training that came out. I don't know. I would think it's more likely that it was written for piano.
Well, whatever is going on, it sounds so fast.
And very virtuosic.
And yes, something's going. Like you hear it during the solo too. Like I don't. Is that the piano? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think there was a double on the piano. There might have been another one.
And then the harpsichord comes back in again.
Yeah.
Like you can't escape. You can't escape the harpsichord.
That's why it's like Dracula.
Oh, amazing.
All right, let's get back. They're like doing a little duet.
Right back into the beginning. I love the fast vocals. I love that.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. There's a musical term for the way that he holds out and has like an almost against the beat. It's not just syncopated, but it's like against the beat being held over some faster things. I think it might be called a hemiola. It's like jogging. I used to specifically try and bring out this kind of thing in a lot of piano pieces. So it's a little particular. He does it on I Can't Bear This Pain. So you have I can't bear this pain.
It's like on the upbeat or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely syncopated. but it's like ba 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 ba. It's definitely doing like a.
Is that like a 3/4 vocally or some shit? It lines up.
It's a 5 against 4, right? No, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're right. It's a 3 against 4. Right?
That's nice. See, that's a big thing for me because a lot of people, and I think it's one of the hardest things for a lot of people to do as they're like getting into this, because you hear bands who will come in on the upbeat sometimes, and then they go on the downbeat, and the upbeat, and the downbeat, and a lot of times people just make music, they just want to go in for the downbeat every single time. So when I hear things like that, they really just stand out to me, and I'm like, I don't know. I can appreciate stuff. I want to write more music that's like that.
Yeah.
It's off the beat, but it's just on the beat enough where you're like, it sounds right. It doesn't sound wrong.
It sounds, and the way that rhythm works to it makes it more stressed as a phrase. And that works perfectly with "I can't bear this pain." Like,
yep.
That's such a great way to emphasize those lyrics.
Because it's completely separated from everything.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Oh, nice. I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah. Oh, I love that. There's so much going on, so they kick it for a second.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's so important, I think, to have big drops like that to clear so that you appreciate it again.
Oh, yeah. It's like, that's the breakdown right there. That is it's not a breakdown, but it's like that. When you hear a breakdown in that chord, you're like, whoa, it just dropped.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Yeah.
They don't have that, but this is their equivalent of that.
Yeah, this is their drop. I didn't even notice the first time. I was just listening the way it flashes on the screen. I was like, oh.
Whoever made this video killed it.
Like, it's the little details that matter.
It's like when we were doing, was it Chokehold? And he starts crying.
Oh, yeah.
What was that? Was it Chokehold?
I don't know if it was...
No, it was the Summoning.
I was going to say it. I might have
we didn't do Chokehold.
Okay.
I think we did the Summoning.
I think
anyway.
I know I've done them. Oh,
I remember you pointed it out. You were like, he's crying when he says I'm something about crying. And I was like, never noticed that. There you go. These people are geniuses. You guys are artists.
I love it.
Hit it.
Oh, I love the way the orchestra ramped it up in there at those last like 5 seconds.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Right here. You hear the strings coming in?
Oh.
Right?
I didn't even notice that.
It's transitional material again.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Because you can always transition with the instruments that you have, but then once you start like doing other things like synths and other orchestration, that also makes for a fantastic, transition and all that. Just like how Mario freaking does this, and then it just transitions perfectly into the next part with Gojira.
Yep. Brilliance.
Love it.
I really liked the writing and the orchestra for that. It was great. Okay, I think that was the exact same performance. I think that they just took that and popped it into the later part of the song.
I think they did.
Yeah, they're like little things like the amount he slid down off of one note, also the shape of his mouth on the top note that makes the extension sound really good that we were paying attention to also with the okay.
It's that copy paste. They copy pasted for that one.
Which when you
Gotta
sing it
keep
really
consistent.
well and you're bringing it back again, I mean, I don't see any compelling reason in a studio version to not do that. If you have a variance, don't do it. Obviously, you need to have a variance. But it kind of depends, especially with something like this. It's so very busy. It can be useful to have something familiar to latch onto.
Exactly, I could see that. Mm-hmm. Something simpler.
Yeah.
Now there's screams behind this one. Mm-hmm. So for the second chorus, or because they're just repeated the chorus, there's a screaming layer in there. That was not in there the first one.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it when bands bring the chorus back, but then they bring it back like times 2. Mm-hmm. Because then you're so familiar with it, you're like, I love this. And the chorus, like the vocals are so simple where it's like, it really latches a spot in your mind. You're like, this is it.
Yeah.
And now it has screams, so it's even more diverse.
You're like, this is the combination of our worlds.
Literally, this is it right here. This is the moment.
Yes. And he actually has some pitched
I hear it right in there.
Too, about an octave lower, I think.
The entire chorus, you think? Or you think it's just...
No, I think it's in various chosen spots.
Okay.
It can be a little difficult to define all of it, though. It might be the whole chorus, but I thought it was in chosen spots.
I feel like it blends in so well. When they mixed it together, like, for me, it's almost hard to tell.
Yeah.
I'm just like, he's just screaming, or he's screaming with the pitch, but they're so close to one another that maybe even like how we were talking about the screaming harmonies before in a previous video that we did. Maybe this is like that, the equivalent of that. Like this screamer is singing like he always does his vocals, and it just so happens to be in this pitch, and then when it layers on top of whatever the chorus has going on, it sounds like a perfect blend. Yeah. I don't know. This is me just speculating. I don't know. I have to see them live. There's no way to know unless you see it live.
It's a good blend, though.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah. So what I hear is it's right, like just in the last few notes.
He's going up with it.
Yeah, Life I Dreamed. I think that's around... Or it's around Life I Dreamed. I think that he starts in it.
I could hear that, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, it's tearing me down. It's that.
I was looking at the wrong one too.
I know, it totally was. And then we got to the part and I was like, wait, no. That's not it.
Whoops. I hear that. The life I dreams tearing me.
Yeah.
Down.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually right there,
Uh-huh.
there's pain. When he goes, painful. Watch this, bring it back.
Yeah.
Hit it. There's pain.
He adds a little bit of pitch. Sometimes it's not necessarily an octave down, but there's like a teensy bit of pitch that's creeping in there. That's.
I'm hearing
Yeah.
it. I hear it when he says, there's painful. I think it's an inflection. Is what it is. It just makes it sound like it has that tone because of the inflection that he put in there.
Because that's a diphthong.
Is that what it is?
It's a diphthong.
Diphthong! Great word. I love that.
So
I have been trying to remember that word, and every single time that I'm like, oh, I know what this word is. This is it. And I'm like, I can't remember what it is. I'm never going to forget from this moment on.
Diphthong.
Fingers crossed. I'll forget it again. I'll call you and I'll be like, what the fuck is that? Diphthongs.
Like,
shout out to diphthongs.
Ray, shout out to diphthongs. Thank you, diphthongs.
Hell yeah. Nailed it.
He's right. It's the combination of classical and metal, and in so many different ways that really blended together very, very nicely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time to listen to them. I figured in my mind, I was like, this is perfect.
It's really
She will
delightful.
know. Oh, yeah.
And like so complicated and just fun to listen to. It's always, always been a delight to do any sort of collaboration with you, which is why you all should check out all of our collaborations together. You can find them in a playlist over here. May you fall more in love with music every day. Every day.
Every day. I'm here. I got you. I just had the rest of the horchata. I feel like I'm ready to do a backflip off the wall. I feel like I'm ready to...
Sugar and caffeine.